I had a reputation for violence in the city. I was part of the main firm. I was knocking around with hitmen from Glasgow and things. Even from about 17 I was having like armed sieges with the police, and I was locked up for bank robberies and all kinds of things. But for most of my teenage years I was in and out of one offenders institution or another. I'm standing in the middle of Crothers Park Flats in the West End of Newcastle. I used to live in these flats, and these flats hold a lot of memories for me. I was once arrested here after a fight with 15 policemen in the flats here. I was once accused of hanging a man out the 8th floor of that block of flats there. And also I was once arrested 3 times over the Christmas period for aggravated burglary and for Section 18 malicious wounding with an axe. We're in Scotswood in the west end of the city. I grew up on these streets. These streets were really tough. You had the famous Scotswood Road there, 54 bars and all the men, a lot of fighting going on in this place. And life here was tough and you had to grow up fast. This area here is known as the Marley Dip. I used to organise a lot of the gang fights in this area, and we would have battles here every night with all gangs from all over the place. We were like with the West End Mile Bunch and Blakelow Agro Boys and all these other gangs, and there used to be pitch battles in this place every night. There were bottles and knives and baseball bats, and at school I had my first encounter with a murder squad after one young boy was killed here back in the early 80s, and that this is where you would see the majority of gang fighting in the West End of Newcastle. My job was to look after the clubs in Newcastle city centre. I became part of the firm who controlled, the whole thing in the area, So it was like really like high level sort of crime that I was involved with. I was empty inside. I thought if I have a lot of money I'll be happy, so I would rob places and I'd get the money. And then nothing seemed to build a happiness into my life because I was trying to fill it with the wrong things. I was snorting a lot of cocaine. I was, smoking a lot of joints, but cocaine was my real problem. And I was probably doing about £1,000 worth a night, some nights of partying and whining and dining and clubs and and all this sort of thing. And I was a drug addict. Cocaine was my real problem. And I was desperate, and I wanted out of this. There was a lot of drug wars going on. A lot of my friends are dead. A lot of them dead through suicide. Some of them were shot dead. Some of them were drug overdoses. And I'm lucky to be alive, and I'm only alive because God had a plan for my life. To cut a long story short, the doctors had told my wife that she was pregnant with Victoria, that Victoria might be born spina bifida. I went to a wedding, and I came out of the church, and I was looking for Kath. I couldn't see anywhere. And when she came out, she told us that she'd sat in there and she'd said to God, if this baby was born okay, that she would bring her back here and get her christened. And so, baby was born okay. We went back for the christening there. But at the christening, we invited me gran. Now, there was something about seeing me gran. The light in her was playing havoc with the darkness inside of me. And I became ashamed of what I'd become because I was a monster. But I was desperately unhappy inside. One night I said to Kath, look, I've got to change. I've got to get out of this. I want to get off the drugs, but I don't know how. And this voice kept challenging us. And so I decided one night we're going to pack up, leave the life, get rid of the bars, and we're going to move and just go and not tell anybody. I was part of the firm and I had to just go, and I didn't want to tell anybody. I just went, and that was it. It came to 16th of August 1995. I picked up a Bible that somebody left in the house. And Jesus really was my last chance saloon. And I said, Jesus, if you are really God and you can help me. I went into my bedroom. The sun was streaming in the windows. I didn't know how to pray. I got on my hands and knees. And I said, Jesus, if you are really God and you can help me, I'm yours. And it was as simple as that. And I remember just this light just increasing, coming in the window, feeling of well-being start to flow over my body. Didn't know what was happening. It was just the peace. I'd never felt peace like this flowing over my body. And the light was getting brighter and brighter and brighter, and I couldn't look at this light. And I had my hands over my eyes. And when I took my hands away, Jesus was standing there, just as real as I'm looking at you. And he said to me, "Son, your sins are forgiven. Go now and sin no more." At that moment, a 15-year drug addiction was broken instantly. More than 20 years of drinking alcohol was broken instantly. For the first time in my life, I felt peace in my mind and in my heart and in my spirit. There was absolute joy inside of us. I cannot describe it. I've had every drug on the planet and there was nothing at all like this. And I was what you call born again at that moment. I was in all the newspapers, in that local newspapers, because people couldn't believe somebody like me could be changed or become a Christian. So the story's gone all over the world. God's used it very powerfully, and I've had the privilege to lead thousands of people to Jesus. You know, that's my vocation in life, and you know, no matter what your problems are, God can help you. He's helped me. From this point, God started to use this powerfully in the healing ministry. I did a healing service. The first time I prayed for somebody, there was a woman who was blind in one eye, and she got a sight in her eye. I remember staying up all night praying for a little girl who'd had terminal cancer. God healed her. And he said he used to batter people with those hands. Now I'm going to use those hands to heal the sick. And so I travelled all over the world. Sometimes I was preaching to little house groups. Sometimes I was preaching in little churches or prisons, preaching in schools. Other times it would be like stadiums full of people in Africa or South America. And I went to, I've done 20 or 30 countries or something. And I've been preaching the gospel all over the world.